Good evening. Today is Thursday, November 20th? 19th, I'm sorry, 19th. The year of our Lord, 2015. This is the monthly meeting of the Beech Grove Redevelopment Commission. I am the president, Donald Webb, and I would like to start off with our roll call starting to our right.
Kathy Chappell, secretary.
Ron Moat, vice president.
Mac Bellner, member.
Janice is out of town, and Tammy was also out of town on a commitment. So neither one of those two members will be joining us tonight. I'd like to start off first with the minutes. You all were handed a copy of the minutes. Any questions on the minutes or anything that needs to be amended?
Nope.
If not, I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Second, we'll go ahead and do the bills. Bills for this month were $31,011.63. The majority of those were, the big ones were Russell Excavating, $8,000 for hydrants and water mains to Sarah Bolton Park. Crossroads Engineers, part of our Greenway grant, $2,077.50. Lewis Caps, $338.40. That's our lawyers. Peters Municipal Consultants, $134.88. Tim Showalter for the videotaping of our movies, or meetings. I am tired tonight, I apologize. $225. United Consulting, we have two of them, $4,192.50. $3,592.50. And that's two of those. And then we have Central Indiana Security Corporation, $3,071.45. I believe those are for the video cameras that are being installed in the parks. Snyder Corporation, also for Greenway Planning, $287.50. Of course, our monthly sewage bill is $7.50. And the rest were small miscellaneous things. You can all look this over, but I would ask for a motion to pay the bills as presented in the docket.
So move.
I'll ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's approved. I'll hand that to you.
I have to borrow a pen, sorry.
Most certainly you can. I handed a copy of the proposed budget for next year, which we will have the mayor present to the city council for approval at the next meeting in December. As you guys can see, I didn't put a lot on the bills. I put $25,000 for lawyers and $25,000 for sign grants, and I guess the only thing I'd probably add would be the miscellaneous, which would be like Tim filming the meetings and stuff like that. But I left it like that because I don't know what expenses are going to come next year for possibly St. Francis or the Greenway if we do win the Greenway grant. The other thing is, as Robert has talked about, there is a very real possibility that the big box stores like Lowe's and Walmart are trying different ways to drive down the values of their properties. And they're using buildings in communities close by or near them to say that, well, if this building is similar square footage but is only worth $100,000, how can you charge us $1 million? And they I don't know, have they been successful in any of them?
It's my understanding that at least one company, and maybe more, I don't know which companies have been, with an argument that, okay, they had a big box store that went empty, they tried to sell it, they sold it at fire sale. We want to have these stores that are doing great reassessed. In other words, being assessed as an empty property as opposed to an ongoing business. I'm going to be attending a meeting of the Indiana Association of School Business Officials where two of the topics are dark stores and tip districts. So that's in December, which I'll report back in January what I learned from that.
Just to put some perspective in this, Walmart and Lowe's account for roughly 90% of our revenues in our TIF districts. If they were to slash their values, the Redevelopment Commission would have no money to do anything, and I doubt we'd have the money to cover our bonds. It is something that again, as the Redevelopment Commission, I would ask the mayor and our city council members to start working on the legislature, because this is a legislative fix that's going to have to be done. Otherwise, it could really crash and burn a lot of other cities and towns. But right now, we are very vulnerable to that. And I mean, I looked at it, in that TIF district out there, like I say, it gives us 90% of our money. I mean, we don't get, you know, the other TIF districts are the Park and St. Francis, and even the St. Francis money, which is around 29,000 to half, I believe, or 26,000. That's 52,000, and that money is still under appeal. We're not touching that money because they are still arguing that that is a religious exemption property and that they shouldn't even have to pay that. So, I mean, we have to be very careful going forward with how we spend revenues, and to me, we really need to next year probably focusing on trying to save money for things that Beech Grove will need, or until this issue is settled, because, yeah, it will definitely hurt our ability to pay our bills. So, if there's anything else you guys want to add to the budget, I'm all ears. If there's anything you want to discuss or open up on it, I'm all ears as well.
I don't have anything to add.
No, nor do I.
If not, I would ask for a motion to approve submitting this to the mayor and the city council for approval for 2016.
I make a motion.
I'd ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye as well. Do you have anything tonight, Mr. Mayor?
Sure.
Good. We're always happy to hear from you.
Well, first of all, good evening. Spent some time yesterday with the NRP people, and then I was out on the site today. They're getting to the point where around the first of next year, they'll be starting to move people in to some of the apartments. The apartments are filling up very fast, and we're pretty surprised. They're pretty happy about it. They still want to be done by March of next year. And then we had the first talks about phase 2, so they'll probably come and see you sometime next year about another development. The Churchman Avenue sidewalk project has been bumped up 1 year. It's supposed to be constructed in 2018, but there's a new rule concerning how the MPOs throughout Indiana are funded, and they are not allowed to carry any money over from budget year to budget year. So if they don't spend money that is given to them by the federal government, they lose it. So these shovel-ready projects like ours are become eligible to be bumped up. So the construction will take place in 2017. And we will, NDOT will award the bids in February of 2017. So that's good news. A little more burden on the city, but I think it's worthwhile. I met with my friend from Community Health today, and they are on the final stages of entering into an agreement to lease space in Beech Grove, so that's coming real soon. Probably out on Emerson Avenue somewhere. But they kind of slow at times, but they're diligent, and that will be nice for the city.
Seems to be a common theme of hospitals.
Yeah. Tomorrow is a very busy day for us. We have a meeting at 1 o'clock concerning the grant proposal for the roundabout out at Arlington Churchman, and that's due to economic development that's going on. So we meet on that. The application has to be in by next Wednesday. And tomorrow, we also finalized a grant for the Greenway. It's a different funding mechanism. This project is picking up support from all angles. You folks wrote a letter on behalf to support the project. The schools have, and the school board have wrote a letter as well. The Chamber of Commerce has wrote a letter as well. The Greater Indianapolis Progress Committee, which is in charge of what they call the 2020 plan, is in support of this project. And hopefully I'll hear from the Indianapolis Metropolitan Board of Realtors for support of this project as well. We hope to submit it tomorrow too. The deadline is Wednesday. So another thing that is, there's two parts of this that makes it favorable to us. Number one is when we gave the initial grant back to them, and number two, this recent transaction where they bumped up a project, that really helped them with their funding formulas. So hopefully that will in turn bode well for us. We'll know in February if we're successful or not. So all of those things are going, and we have a gentleman here I think is going to speak tonight on a project, but I'm happy with what's going on. I'm generally not busy this time of year because we're winding down, but this year we're extremely busy. But that's all right. All of these things are good for the city, and hopefully we're successful. So any questions?
Excited to know about the Greenway grant. I mean, I think we've done a good job, or you have, getting these letters in there and showing broad support.
Well, I meet with the mayor-elect of Indianapolis sometimes after Thanksgiving, and one of the things we're going to talk about is the trail that comes out of Fountain Square, bringing it to Beech Grove. So those are all things that are in the scope, so hopefully it'll work out for us.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have the south side of Indianapolis be known for existing, because oftentimes it seems like Indianapolis is from Washington Street to Carmel, and everything south of there is where dinosaurs used to roam.
I met with, there's a group called the Central Indiana Conference of Elected Officials, and it's 18 mayors from Central Indiana, and we met last Monday up in Noblesville, and the reason for our meeting, we met with IAC to talk about it's a state responsibility to fund roads. We want the funding formula to change so that local governments can have more money to pave roads. Currently, the sale of gasoline we receive taxes from that as well as wheel tax and a couple others. But of all the monies collected that go to paving, only about 15%, 14.3% go to local government. The rest of it goes to the state. So we want that changed. So we're going to start lobbying and asking that legislatures introduce some bills, and I think they recognize it as well. So, bridges and highways aren't the only thing that's traveled. And we would like to have some more input on local roads. So that's about it. Any questions?
Thank you, though.
All right. By golly, we're doing well.
Yes, we are. Thank you. Care to speak, sir?
Yes.
Well, thank you for allowing me to speak at this month's Redevelopment Commission. Heartland Solutions Corporation and Heartland Energy has begun the process of reviewing your landfill that's been going on for several years. We started the process several weeks ago to look at some of the IDEM documents that are public documents to see the environmental impact and of that property. We ask that you allow us to continue and then possibly put in a proposal within a period of time that may provide you with an option for that property. We've seen over time that you've had digs, and the property itself is not suitable for building below the ground, but we have options to build above the ground. What Heartland Energy does is they build solar farms, mainly contracting, but we're starting the process of developing solar farms. Most of our personnel have worked for the federal government under the NEON project, which is an environmental study project, which allows us, so the guys have experience with building above grade and not impacting the top caps of landfills and or projects where the foliage is really important. So I guess over time, this is the first time talking with the city officials, so I don't know the next process. However, we'll continue to review the EPA standards and Indiana Department of Environmental Management standards for that property. So appreciate your time.
So this is a solar farm you're talking about possibly proposing there?
Possibly a solar farm, yep. The initial engineering came out to 2.7 megawatts with the possible expansion to 3.5 megawatt farm utilizing single axis and dual axis tracking systems, which basically follow the earth from sunrise to sunset and by seasons. There's probably some restrictions on that property as far as the top cap, additional remediation concerns that I'm not privy to yet.
Robert, you guys did some work on that, didn't you?
Yeah, we studied it. Manny primarily, it had to do with IDEM in terms of some disturbance of the cap that had been put in, and I think the previous administration had got it up to a point, but they never got the IDEM sign off. We were able to get that, but occasionally trees or tree roots will disturb that cap.
Correct.
And the other thing is, I don't know whether you've done any sort of title work, but there's an automotive-related company that actually owns the north part of that.
Morehouse Auto and Body, yeah.
So you would have to, if you're gonna have some sort of solar farm there and you want those additional acres, you'll have to deal with a private party as well as the city.
I think in the past, one of the documents I read, they were going to donate 18 acres, of course,
I bet they were.
of that property. All told, I mean, our survey is roughly 40 acres of property. Is that correct?
I don't recall exactly. That sounds about right. Again, one of my associates was primarily involved with the tail end of that project.
Okay. There are possibilities with the existing infrastructure that the agreements can be made between the city of Beech Grove and us, whereby we can provide power to either power up lights along that path on Subway. Some of the infrastructure is already there, at least from the Google Earth shot and the EPA Google view that we've seen.
Is it possible to anchor the solar panels without undue disturbance?
Basically, they'd be set on concrete blocks, which are spread out, so your point load will not be right down on the top cap. The cap was, I think the landfill closed in the early 90s, so the regulations for the early 90s have changed. There's probably additional fill that needs to go in before that happens, additional erosion control. Tree roots do affect a landfill. You really want stable grass with low root structure. A lot of planning in this, but I think that's an option for for the city of Beech Grove. You've tried additional buildings with big footings, and that just doesn't work. I mean, 12 inches below grade, I think they picked a tire up from one of the reports I found. So on top structure that can deal with sediment over time.
What projects have you done in
That was my question.
We're bidding on a Carmel project for the wastewater treatment plant. Most of our stuff is out of state right now. Indiana Regulatory Commission, Utility Regulatory Commission, Indianapolis Power and Light have kind of canceled some of the REPs. It's tough to build solar. So you have to find Jones Chemical, for instance, to sell power to, and other entities. Possible splitting up that 18 acres into parcels and developing the property and then selling it back to either Jones or Morehouse or the city. Obviously at a cost, but much lower than the typical.
Yeah, I'm not sure the city's of Indianapolis would be interested in buying it back.
Of what?
We tried to give it to them.
This is the model that's been proposed and supported by an Environmental Protection Agency. The cost of the project is relatively expensive, but I think with the assistance of Beech Grove, your grant writing abilities, possible bonds, there's a potential that this could be a good fit for the city. Remediation costs probably 20 to 30 million to clean the landfill, rough estimate. This would be a lot less.
Who would pay the 20 to 30 million?
For remediation costs, well, the owner of the property, which would be the city of Beech Grove.
He doesn't mean for them. He
But this is the alternative to that.
Yeah, to sell it, to get it ready to,
Yeah, I mean, we're never gonna sell it. So what would your project to put solar panels on there, what would a cost on that be?
Well, initial estimate and rough estimate based on a Google Earth view and some models, it's 5 to 7 million.
Okay, so figure 8 to 10 after. What would you want from the city and like, say, the Redevelopment Commission, which basically has that, I think that's part of our TIF. What would you want for us as far as support?
Possible government grants to build the site. All of the public and non-public documents surrounding that property from, I think, 1975 to current. Some of the documents are public, but in Indiana Department of Environmental Management, I see 1998, 1999 inspections, and then it kind of skips. So there's a lot of documents missing.
Well, I'd have Robert and Manny give you whatever help they can. We'd be willing to do that. I don't know about the other stuff on where you'd get that, but if there's anything we can do to help, sure, I'd be willing to look at that. I don't know, how's the board feel about that?
sure.
I mean, that's gonna be a landfill. If you can put solar panels on it and not, release release the ground stuff into the stream nearby or something like that, I'm all in favor of it, I don't necessarily think solar power is, efficient at this point, but it gives us an option at least. It makes the land that to me is unusable at least usable for something. So yeah, Robert can give you his card or give you Manny's name, and if you need help, we can help you that way.
That'd be
And
great.
when you get more next year, when you get more formal proposal or stuff, we're more than happy to listen, because I think the mayor and even Councilman Bell would agree. I didn't even realize that thing was open into the early 90s. I mean, when I was in high school, I thought it was closed. I didn't realize it was open.
Yeah, I think it was 92, 93 that they closed that.
And the only reason I know that area is my grandfather owned a coal yard over there. That sat over there off of Subway. And so, I mean, that was back in the 50s, 60s. So, I mean, I can't imagine what's all over there as far as in the ground and stuff. But yeah, anything we could do to help, yeah, I would be interested in seeing what could happen with this.
Is your company headquartered here in Indiana?
We are based out of Canby, Indiana,
Canby.
which is just south of Indianapolis, a little
Right.
north of Mooresville. Our primary business is is developing and building telecommunication sites for AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile. And right now, we're building, I think, 30 towers for Verizon here in Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Kentucky. So, there's other options for the city for solar, dual access trackers in some of your spaces around your schools to offset the power. That model's out there too. On top of your school roofs, there's models for that. Provide job training for the kids or people just fresh out of high school, so job training grants that offset your power. I appreciate your time.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And like I say, please get with Robert, and that way we can have communication, because, yeah, we'd like to hear back if this is feasible.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Did you catch his name?
I didn't bring one.
It's Mike.
Mike?
Sir, is your name Michael?
Yeah.
Can you give her the last name for our minutes?
Anderson.
Anderson. Thank you. I thought so. Anybody have anything else? Mac? Well, if not, this will be our last meeting. Oh,
I've got one thing.
oh, absolutely. I'm sorry.
Sure.
We'll wait just a second for Robert. Well, I was gonna say, this will be our last meeting for 2015. We're gonna celebrate the holidays in December and not have a meeting. January 3rd, or what is it, what? 4th, January 4th. I broke my phone today, so I'm lost, okay? Shattered the screen. January 4th, the city council and the mayor will meet, and at that point in time, they will appoint a new RDC board, so some of the members may be here or may not be here based on their wishes and grants, because we do have a brand-new city council for the most part. But I will say, in closing, it has been an honor to serve the city of Beech Grove, and I'd like to thank the board members, Janice, Tammy, who aren't here, but thank you, and then Kathy, Ron, and Mac for showing up monthly and doing the things we need to make Beech Grove go further. We've done a lot of good work the last 2 years, and the mayor was talking about Beech Grove Station, and I was glad to see that the liquor store idea quickly died a pleasant death, because one thing, you can tell the quality of a community, in my opinion, by the number of liquor stores and payday loan checking places. And we didn't need another liquor store. And, we've got enough tattoo parlors as well. And to me, the idea of NPR possibly taking over that land and putting more housing there, and because I don't know if any of you have seen or watched this, but drive out to the new Beech Grove station sometime and just drive through that community. When it opens full-time next March, it'll be one of the nicest communities in the city. I mean, it is spectacular. The architecture, the buildings look great. They've done stone faces on them on the bottom part. I mean, it's really nice. I'm really pleased with the quality that they have done there. It is going to be a very nice community for seniors. And I know the mayor said they're selling. I guarantee you they'll be sold out long before they open. It'll be very popular, because I mean, it's a quality community, and it's something that Beech Grove should be proud of that we have gotten. So that's my thoughts. If you guys had any thoughts while we're waiting on Robert, please go ahead.
Just also will say that it has been really great to serve with you guys and to serve Beech Grove.
Go ahead, Robert, if you're ready.
Just briefly, we had, remember we had a workshop, and we've had a number of discussions on that we need some procedures and information application sheets for just such proposals as we received tonight, and we don't. And I've got some here that the city of Greenwood RDC was kind enough to provide us. Donald and I met with Steve Watson, who's one of their attorneys, and I wanted to give you a copy of the sort of thing they give out when there's business owners, either existing or new, that are asking to partner with their city and their RDC for development. I think there's one for each of you.
Yeah, after meeting with him, I'm glad he got us all that stuff. You know, because one of the things I do think Greenwood, again, they're much, what are they, about 6, 7 times our size, so they're much bigger, they have more infrastructure built in around their RDC, and if we can steal their ideas for free, more power to us, because, you know, we just don't have the resources, the funds for that infrastructure, but I don't think a workshop's a bad idea. I don't know if it would be in January. I'd probably say February would be more realistic, because again, you'll have a new, potentially new RDC board, and it'll give them a chance to get their feet on the ground and figure out what they want to do. Plus, you know, we're gonna find out about the Greenway grant and what's going on there, so, you know, next year's RDC could be a little bit busy, but yeah, I agree with you. I think a workshop on how to do this, you know, and, you know, Kathy mentioned tonight that, you know, she talked about the Greenwood, was it Old Town, you said, Kathy? They managed, some people down there managed to get a grant for $400,000 to redo the faces of the businesses in Old Town Greenwood. I think we need to look at a grant writer. And I know we can't employ him or her, but that's where having, like you say, our workshop, seeing if the different functions of Beech Grove can't pull together to where we can figure out how we could support a grant writer.
Well, Paul Kaiser's sort of offered, I wish Janice was here, to sort of maybe lend out their grant writer in part, or to partner with their grant writer in terms of projects that would help both the school and the city.
Because one of my thoughts was, you know, with the Greenway, you know, we're gonna be responsible for a chunk of it. I know there was talk that a private company may help us with that, and I haven't heard any more about that, but, you know, I was thinking maybe the Lilly Endowment Fund, you know, maybe they would match part of our match for the grant, you know, because one of the things I've always heard about that endowment is that at times they struggle to find worthy people to give the grant money to, that they really at times have to look for it. And, you know, Eli Lilly, the endowment fund has been great for Indianapolis. I mean, Market Square Arena, the Hoosier Dome, even Bankers Life, all these, and Circle Center. I mean, without the Lilly Endowment, I don't know if many of those places would have been built. So, you know, we were a part of Marion County and Indianapolis, and, you know, if we have a grant writer, I'm not so sure we couldn't write them and maybe get them to pitch in some money. So, I mean, that's something else I'd like to your point, I'd like to really explore early on next year, because if we find out we get that grant in February, we got to start really gearing up for it and be ready for it when it comes. Anything else? Well, if not, I will make a motion to adjourn and say thank you. All in favor?